Tonight in 9 News, vaccine reset. Super hubs open for business as eager Victorians roll up their sleeves. $50 million committed to develop the Pfizer vaccine in Melbourne. A widower shares his unrelenting pain 12 months on from the Eastern Freeway tragedy. Tears and cheers as former police officer Derek Chauvin is found guilty of George Floyd's murder. Father Bob Maguire's fight with Vic Roads after he was banned from driving. And the surgery dilemma that could sideline Patrick Dangerfield for weeks.
This is 9 News with Peter Hitchener.
Good evening. Victorians who've waited weeks for a COVID vaccination have praised the speed of the state's mass inoculation hubs. While the turnout for day one was smaller than expected, a familiar face urged people to ignore the AstraZeneca anxiety and get the shot. Dougal Beattie reports.
Outside the Royal Exhibition building, an eager few were lining up to be among the first to be admitted under Victorians' mass vaccination model.
I knew this was opening today, so I dashed down here.
So, yeah, Dutch courage today, so good.
3 super sites opened their doors to appointments and walk-ins this morning. Anyone eligible under Phase 1A and 1B can be inoculated under a state-led effort to get COVID vaccinations back on track.
We should have vaccinated the whole of the country, I feel, by now.
Among the crowd, there was a familiar face. Chief Health Officer Professor Brett Sutton rolling up his sleeve to reveal 2 inked-up arms. The 51-year-old receiving his first dose of AstraZeneca.
You do it for yourself, but we're doing it for everyone ultimately, and it's going to make Australia a different place.
And putting into perspective the small potential health risk.
You are more likely to get a clot of whatever age you are on a long-haul flight to Europe or North America than getting this jab.
Victoria has the capacity to vaccinate up to 60,000 people per week, but on the first day, the masses were missing from the mass vaccination centres.
So I expected to see queues all the way out the door, but no.
John White travelled from Warrnambool to receive the AstraZeneca vaccine after he was unable to get it from his GP.
I don't want to get COVID. I believe that everyone should get it.
It was a similar story for Beverly Hall, who says the Commonwealth's rollout has been a mess.
It's been incredibly frustrating. I don't think it's been managed well at all. I'm hoping to be a little bit freer and not feel guilty about being near other people.
20-year-old disability worker Victoria Steyr-Leitmer from Austria consented to AstraZeneca after her family's experience in Europe.
My brother has had it, my cousin has had it, and they're all fine. So I think that kind of made me confident.
The hub here at the Royal Exhibition building has the capacity to vaccinate up to 10,000 people per week, a target the health department says can be reached if there's enough supply.
We know that these centres will build up over time because confidence will build.
Dougal Beattie, 9 News.
Victoria has jumped first in the race to manufacture the highly effective Pfizer vaccine onshore. A new facility will be built in Melbourne to finally secure a guaranteed supply. More from Reid Butler.
Precious Pfizer imported from overseas, crippled by supply issues. Victoria's lucky to even have this. That's why we're going to make it ourselves.
12 months ago would have been the best time to have done this, but the next best time is right now.
The state government will invest $50 million to manufacture a molecule called mRNA, the key ingredient in the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines.
When it is established, it will be the first in the Southern Hemisphere.
That depends on funding from the federal government, but so far Canberra is backing the plan.
I think it's great. That's not done in place of the Commonwealth. It is done, and I'm sure as other states will look to establish this capability as well. That's what state governments do. That's part of their job.
The cost to produce is sky high. Pfizer is $25 a dose compared to AstraZeneca's $5 a dose. Despite that, it's hoped local manufacturing will be up and running by next year with the help of Monash and Melbourne universities and the Doherty Institute.
The need to get a dedicated onshore manufacturing facility is a national priority.
It's hoped science will help reduce the challenges surrounding how this technology is stored and produced. The deep freeze, for instance, may not be necessary as mRNA develops.
Already we're seeing reports from our colleague scientists in Europe and the United States that those problems are being overcome.
Not only are these vaccines more effective than AstraZeneca, crucially, they will be easier to update if the virus mutates. Now, unlike AstraZeneca produced by CSL, there have been no confirmed cases of blood clots linked to Pfizer in Australia. There is one case, though, under investigation tonight in Queensland. A 40-year-old Brisbane police officer was taken to hospital with blood clots just days after receiving the Pfizer jab, though I do understand he'd recently had a knee surgery and the clots are more likely to be linked to that procedure than the vaccination itself. Nevertheless, though, the Therapeutic Goods Administration is looking into it. Pete, the police officer, has been discharged from hospital and he's returned to his duties.
Oh, that's good to hear. Thank you, Reid Butler. Relief in America tonight after former policeman Derek Chauvin was found guilty of the murder and manslaughter of George Floyd. Alison Petrowski says his brutal death ignited a wave of protests. But today, streets were filled with tears, hugs and dancing.
Outside the Minneapolis courthouse and on the street where George Floyd begged for his life, they gathered, a nation holding its breath.
As to count 1, unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony, find the defendant guilty.
Guilty!
Relief turned to jubilation and celebration. The jury took just over 10 hours to reach a unanimous decision.
All rise for the jury.
Former officer Derek Chauvin found guilty of second-degree manslaughter, second-degree murder and third-degree murder.
Bail is revoked, bond is discharged, and the defendant is remanded to the custody of the Hennepin County Sheriff.
George Floyd's extended family watching on from Houston. And inside the courthouse, his brother and legal team were overcome with emotion. A bittersweet day for those who never gave up on justice.
Say his name! Say his name!
Today, we are able to breathe again.
The verdict prompting a phone call from the president.
But at least, God, now there's some justice. We're all so relieved. Not just the one verdict, all three. Guilty on all 3 counts. And we're going to get a lot more done. We're going to get police. We're going to do a lot. Nothing can ever bring their brother, their father back. But this can be a giant step forward in the march toward justice in America.
Promising police reform in the name of George Floyd, whose death in May last year sparked a nationwide reckoning, protests not seen since the civil rights movement. Minneapolis was ground zero, furious protesters swarming the police precinct, businesses looted, buildings burned to the ground.
Let this be the precedence where we overcome systematic racism and oppression.
Today's verdict bringing vindication for a family.
Well, we can now tell George's daughter she was right. Her father has begun the changing of the world for real.
A movement.
This is a win for democracy. This is a win for our country. This is a win for us to come together and unite.
And a nation.
We've been fighting so much pain and struggle in our city, and now it's time for us to heal.
I can't believe it. It feels there's poetry in the fact that he couldn't breathe, and it feels like we just got a breath of fresh air. Like for the first time, it feels like we can breathe.
As the news spread, the city came to a standstill, united at last in triumph rather than rage.
Thousands have come out to celebrate not only justice for George Floyd, but potentially a turning point for a country that has been so divided.
From Minneapolis to Washington, D.C., the festivities caught on. In Atlanta, the next generation rejoiced.
We made a change today. It's history.
While in LA, they marked the moment in silence. But for Black Lives Matter protesters in New York, the verdict didn't go far enough. And from the country's first black president, cautious optimism. Barack Obama reminding Americans that true justice is about much more than a single verdict in a single trial. True justice requires that we come to terms with the fact black Americans are treated very differently every day. We cannot rest.
It is accountability, which is the first step towards justice. And now the cause of justice is in your hands.
A case with no winners and by no means the end of America's fight against police brutality and racism.
Alison Petrowski is in Minneapolis tonight and has the details on how long Derek Chauvin faces behind bars.
Derek Chauvin will be sentenced in 8 weeks' time. He'll face up to 40 years in prison. But the legal process is far from over. The defence team are highly likely to try and appeal. But today, a promising first step in America's healing.
Alison Petrowski reporting. Multiple assault-related charges against NBL star Mitch Creek have been dropped. The Melbourne Phoenix captain had been accused of assaulting a woman and was stood down from training and playing when the charges were laid earlier this year. A decision reversed 2 weeks later. Today, prosecutors withdrew all charges against the 28-year-old. A decision will be made on whether he's now eligible to play for Australia at the Tokyo Olympics. The partner of Constable Glenn Humphreys, killed on the Eastern Freeway alongside 3 colleagues, admits time doesn't heal all wounds. But with tomorrow marking 12 months since the force's deadliest day, Todd Robinson has returned to the place they felt safe. Crime reporter Lana Murphy.
It's been 364 agonising days since Todd Robinson heard his partner's voice.
I gave him a hug and said goodbye, and that was it. Out the door I went.
But walking through Flagstaff Gardens, he can feel him.
Everywhere I look, I see him. So it's a special place.
This is where the couple debriefed on their days. Todd, a Defence Force member, Glenn, a star Victoria Police recruit. But on April 22 last year, 5 weeks after his graduation, he made the honour roll.
Everything just went silent from that moment on. He's never coming home, and we can never have what we had.
12 months on, time has healed little. Kevin King and Lynette Taylor's relatives are still grieving in private. Josh Presney's parents revealing the memory of how that night unfolded is as clear and as painful as if it happened yesterday. As hard as it was to lose Josh, harder still has been learning to live without him. We will never get used to this, get over this, or move on from this. There is no public commemoration planned for tomorrow. It will be a small and sombre affair reserved only for the loved ones of the fallen 4. In the morning, they'll lay wreaths here at the Police Memorial before a private ceremony at the Academy. Then, as the sun sets on a dark day, Melbourne will light up. Landmarks will be bathed in blue. And at 5:36 p.m, Todd will be there, taking it all in.
It's a great honour and privilege for me to see everyone doing that and remembering, because no one's ever going to forget those 4.
Lana Murphy, 9 News.
Jeff Kennett has pulled out of contesting the Victorian Liberal Party presidency. The former Premier flagged his return to the political fray following a failed attempt to unseat opposition leader Michael O'Brien. But when current President Robert Clark refused to step aside willingly, he backed down. Mr Kennett has confirmed Mr Clark has his full support. Victorian Nationals MP Tim McCurdy has been cleared of fraud. Mr McCurdy was accused of obtaining property by deception and using a false document over the sale of 2 dairy farms in 2009 before he was elected to State Parliament. But today the County Court dismissed the case due to a lack of evidence.
This has been 10 years of false allegations, and we're pleased to see it come to the end that it has.
Mr McCurdy has indicated he will not take civil action. A senior Chinese official says Australia behaved illegally and immorally when it banned Huawei from the rollout of next-generation wireless. It comes as the Foreign Minister pledges to stand firm against digital dictators. Here's Chris Uhlmann.
Australia is living in dangerous times.
If we don't actively shape our future, others will most certainly try and shape it for us.
The Foreign Minister warns that authoritarian regimes pose threats to our freedom in the real and virtual worlds.
We'll remain a firm bulwark against the rising tide of digital authoritarianism.
The stand against one tech giant, Huawei, outraged our major trading partner.
Australia connived with the United States in a very unethical, illegal, immoral suppression of Chinese companies.
The Chinese envoy says the ban on Huawei and a long list of other grievances justified Chinese sanctions on Australian goods.
We have done nothing intentionally to hurt this relationship.
And although she did not name China, the Foreign Minister is unbowed.
We will deter and respond to those who threaten our sovereignty, our values, our interests, and who undermine peace and stability
The Foreign Minister's off to New Zealand, where she may well quietly question the Kiwis' reluctance to join their allies in a five-nation intelligence sharing partnership in publicly calling out China's bad behaviour.
We are uncomfortable with expanding the remit of the Five Eyes,
which has some wondering whether the intelligence alliance could get by with one less eye. Chris Ullman, 9 News.
The RSL has been given the green light to host 8,000 veterans at Melbourne's Anzac Day March. The previous cap allowed for just 5,000 marches, but so far only a small number of people have registered their interest.
World War II veterans are close to 100. Korean War veterans are not far behind. The average age of our Vietnam vets is around 70. There is a reason why there is a COVID-safe capacity for the march.
Meanwhile, the acting Premier says a decision on capacity limits at the MCG for the Anzac Day match is yet to be made. AFLW Best and Fairest Brianna Davey says she's honoured to share the award with Fremantle star Kiara Bowers. They were announced joint winners for the first time in the competition's history after tying 15 votes each in last night's count.
It means a lot. There's so many people that have been involved with my football journey, and yeah, it's incredible to think that I've been given an MVP. I still sort of pinching myself over it.
Co-winner Kiara Bowers' son Nate was so overjoyed to get in on the medal action, an image reminiscent of another Freo star's post-Brownlow moment in 2015. Next, with a look ahead to sport, Tony Jones.
That's great, isn't it, Pete? Thanks for that. Danger, well, he's staring down the prospect of surgery and we might not see him for a while. Alicia Mewling.
That's certainly right, Tony. The club is staring down the prospect of sending their superstar in for ankle surgery. That ankle injury, a lot worse than first thought, and he is facing up to 8 weeks on the sidelines. We will have the latest details in sport. Tony?
OK, Alicia, thanks for that. Also, Pete, the weed growing more and more likely for an Anzac Eve call-up. A fascinating insight from devout Muslim Bashar Hooli as he observes Ramadan. Storm's tough break ahead of their own blockbuster, and soccer fans. This is interesting, this one. Soccer fans are celebrating a big win over the big dogs.
Right, OK, thank you, Tony. Next in 9 News, Father Bob Maguire's unholy row with Vic Roads after being forced to hand over his driver's licence. Plus, how the grieving Queen will mark her 95th birthday. And Big Bird's back, how the case of the missing costume was solved.
A magical frozen adventure comes.
Let it snow.
To Lego Live.
Each team will be given their own snow globe. It's storytelling perfected.
Who will take imagination?
I think this is going to be one of the best things that we've ever built.
It really is beautiful Lego.
Into the unknown.
We've got some real good builds out here. It's making me happy.
And who will be the first?
No pressure!
To let it go.
I do have to send one team home.
And say goodbye. Lego Masters, tonight, 7:30 on 9.
Victoria, every test we take
helps us protect everything we've achieved.
and keeps us safe.
For testing locations, visit coronavirus.vic.gov.au.
Authorised by the Victorian Government, Melbourne.
At Coles, there's hundreds of prices down and counting, so you can lower the cost of your weekly shop. The price of breakfast is down, with Coles Toasted Original Style Muesli down to $3.10. Coles, value the Australian way.
For the mum who's your rock, the woman who knows every little piece of you from your head to your toes, give a Mother's Day gift that says clear and true, everywhere and always, Mum, we love you. Michael Hill, Wear for Love.
Maybe we could find ways to call time out on our kids' busy routines before they get sick. But if they do, Children's Panadol can start to reduce fever in just 15 minutes. Together, let's rethink care. When your life changes, your insurance should too.
Whenever it does, we'll be here for it.
Yui, you insured.
More deliveries, Nick.
Well, the more you know, the more you grow, Paul. And being sent these business tips in my CommBank app sure is an app vantage. gonna catch on.
Tailored tips to help you grow your business. That's a business advantage.
Discover a new level of luxury at the King Living sale. Save up to 50% on the best in Australian furniture design. Why buy ordinary furniture when you can come home to King? Sale ends soon.
9 News, brought to you by the King Living sale. Ends soon.
To breaking news now, and the exploding COVID outbreak in India is having potential implications here. Live to Jonathan Kersley. Jono, what can you tell us?
Good evening, Peter. Well, I understand that health authorities right across Australia are seeing a surge in cases of coronavirus in hotel quarantine of people who have travelled in from India. In the last 24 hours alone, there's been more than 250,000 cases on the subcontinent in a single day and 1,700 deaths. The country's top doctors are going to be providing National Cabinet with advice tomorrow on what to do about incoming flights for Australians wanting to get home. It is then that the Prime Minister, the Premiers and the Chief Ministers of the territories will decide whether to suspend incoming flights for Australians wanting to get home or leave them as they are.
Jonathan Kersley with that update from the newsroom. The victim in a suspected murder in Melbourne's West has been identified as father of two, Shane Brown. The 30-year-old was found dead in a home on Henry Street, Melton, just before 4 p.m. yesterday. Friends have shared tributes online as homicide detectives investigate his death. Father Bob Maguire has lashed out after failing his driver's licence review, accusing the instructor of mistreating him. The larrikin priest told Maggie Rayworth he'll struggle to complete his charity work for Melbourne's downtrodden if he can't drive.
When Father Bob Maguire recently renewed his driver's licence, God wasn't on his side.
Well, he said I failed.
But it wasn't just the result that upset him.
And he had a grin on his face too, because he said, and by the way, I failed a nun last week.
Father Bob is now 86 years old with
no stain on the record. I've been driving since I was 18 and impeccably. I love driving.
The outspoken Catholic priest relies heavily on his licence to help others and says the rollout of his latest venture, Bob Keeper, will now be affected.
Oh, I deliver things to people in need, pay visits to people.
Vic Rhodes says it's dealing with the instructor in question.
We were obviously very disappointed to hear about Father Bob's experience. We have followed up directly with Father Bob himself and other third parties involved.
There's no mandatory retesting process in Victoria, but health professionals, police, family and friends can raise concerns about a person's fitness to drive. Vic Rhodes is then obligated to investigate and, if need be, start the medical review process. Driving instructor Noor Shirazi believes elderly drivers can get a bad rap and encourages them to do a refresher course.
They should stay confident, they should renew their licences as long as their doctors clear them in their medical results. They should keep on driving. Mobility is really important.
No doubt praying for a better result, Father Bob says he will sit the test again.
Yeah, no reason why I wouldn't pass it. Look left, look right.
Maggie Rayworth, 9 News.
Queen Elizabeth is now 95, but today's milestone is tipped to be a more sombre affair in the wake of her husband Prince Philip's death. Gun salutes at the Tower of London or Hyde Park are unlikely, as is a new official photograph. The royal family's official mourning period will end on Friday. A black teenager has been shot dead by police in Ohio, just moments before the conviction of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin. Body cam footage shows 15-year-old Makia Bryant in a scuffle with other females. Armed with a knife, she pushes one person to the ground and then attempts to stab another when an officer opens fire. Protesters have gathered at the site and the local police station chanting, "Say her name." He's more than 2 metres tall and bright yellow, but for 48 hours, Big Bird was nowhere to be seen. Snatched from an Adelaide circus, the Sesame Street character showed up this morning with a bizarre note tucked into his beak. Charles Croucher explains.
A big bird with an even bigger story.
Glad you're back.
Back from a feathered fright. The $160,000 suit Bird napped found slumped against a power box. Tie on, eyes open. This police inspection blending Sesame Street with SVU.
But I suppose we're still in a bit of shock that we've actually got him back and everything.
The self-titled Big Bird Bandits leaving an apology note in the Beak. We had no idea what we were doing or what our actions would cause, they wrote. Sorry for being a big burden.
A local had seen two gentlemen running with the costume. They apologised because they were having a hard time and they just out to have a bit of fun and everything, and sorry they caused so many problems.
He said the world's full of different birds with different points of view.
The world's most famous feathered friend had left his nest for a travelling circus, where he was back today in Adelaide, chasing the clouds away.
A costume like this can't be made. They're not just sitting on the shelf. You know, you're talking nearly 3 months to make a costume like this.
A waddle, a wave, and once more, the air was sweet.
Thank you for not harming Big Bird and bringing him back.
Charles Croucher, 9 News.
Lavinia's here now. Very chilly this morning, Lavinia.
Oh, it sure was, Pete. The city had its coldest morning in more than 7 months, dipping to a low of 7.1. And despite the sunshine, the mercury struggled to recover, eventually peaking at 14.9. It was a very frosty morning for parts of the state. The areas in pink fell below zero. Ballarat had its coldest morning of the year so far with a low of -2, as did Horsham with a low of -1. -5 at Falls Creek was cold enough for snow, and residents woke to a fresh dusting of 3 to 4 centimetres this morning. So let's look at the positives. The countdown is on. 52 days until the snow season officially kicks off. Pete?
That's one way of looking at it. Thank you, Lavinia. When we return, the world's biggest retailer moves to Collins Street. Our first glimpse at Amazon's new Australian headquarters. Plus, Elon Musk hits back, new evidence after the deadly Tesla crash. And the Melbourne couple using potato waste to make cling wrap that's better for the environment.
A brazen act. Who stole this beloved family moggy?
Very disturbing.
Its heartbroken owners say this bloke's a catnapper. And it was all caught on camera. Now the search to find the feline and this man.
It's incredibly confronting to see a cat taken.
A current affair next.
Ever since I've retired from basketball, I've never been busier. You say bet? Mm-hmm. There's a lot you can do in a few seconds, even with just one hand. I never miss having a bet on Friday Night Footy. Sunday football, 10 legs, same game multi. Glory, glory to Sunday. Beautiful. Oh yeah, that's the one. Good night, ladies.
It's shacking easy to bet anytime, anywhere with the PointsBet app.
Join any NIB combined hospital and extras cover online, and we'll waive the 2 and 6 month wait on extras. Plus, join by April 30 and get up to $300 off your policy. Join NIB today. It's worth it.
Here at Amart Furniture, it's the final week of our Furniture Frenzy sale with $100 million of furniture in stock and ready for delivery. So, you'd better get a wiggle on. Amart Furniture, final week.
And then we're going to a day spa.
Very nice. And you haven't even asked for any money lately, kiddo.
All good money bags. The CommBank app does all my budgety stuff now. Keeps me on track.
Sounds like an app vantage.
Yeah, very advantageous.
App vantage us.
I can't deal.
The app that tracks, budgets and predicts. That's an app vantage.
Shut up and take my money.
Nothing like a party in the summertime. Nothing like seeing you, baby, looking so fine. Ooh, nothing like a party.
I'm back dominating the paint. And I'm all over the Sydney Quaddy. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Not you.
PointsBet, it's shacking easy.
Even if you haven't seen their stories so far,
I don't think I can forgive you.
the incredible season final will blow your mind. The truth
I made a dreadful mistake.
they've kept in the dark
I'm pregnant.
will decide how it all ends.
You've got
got something really wonderful here. I don't want it to end.
Amazing Grace, tonight on 9.
Work is underway on a new Melbourne headquarters for online retail giant Amazon. The skyscraper office development is a vote of confidence that the city will eventually return to normal. Madeline Slattery with the details.
Glittering gold, this 35-storey building is a sign our city's skyline is expanding. The Collins Street site will be home to e-commerce giant Amazon. The tech company's overseas offices look like something from out of space. From the Seattle HQ, complete with an indoor rainforest, to these plans for a helix in Virginia. Not to mention its largest building in India, which has capacity for 15,000 staff. While detailed plans haven't been revealed for the Collins Street building, it will be a haven for technology.
So we artificial intelligence engineers, security engineers, data centre engineers.
The project is one of the biggest constructions underway in the CBD right now and will have space for 7,500 office workers.
What we're seeing more and more as the months unfold post-COVID is a desire for people to come back and work together and collaborate.
After a year where the state government enforced office staff to stay at home, it's now welcoming the $1.5 billion project.
The cost of renting commercial offices in Melbourne is about half the cost of renting in Sydney.
The project is set to create 1,500 construction jobs and once complete will comprise of 2 towers. The first tower is set to be finished in about 2 years' time. Turning the first sod today, the Lord Mayor had other positive news too.
Very encouraging to see our foot traffic continue to go up, 72% of normal benchmark.
Madeline Slattery, 9 News.
Firefighters scaled the Melbourne Star observation wheel this morning for a high-angle rescue mission, but no one was in danger. It was all part of a Fire Rescue Victoria training course. Crews connected to harnesses, climbed ladders and abseiled to the ground. The exercises simulate real-life emergency scenarios and qualify staff to perform rope rescues. The boss of Tesla has hit back after a fatal crash involving one of his vehicles. 2 people, both sitting in the passenger seats, died when it smashed into a tree in Texas. Their friends insist they were testing the car's self-drive feature, but Elon Musk says data logs show it was not on autopilot and wasn't equipped with full self-driving software. The UN is demanding the United Arab Emirates provide concrete proof Princess Latifa Al Maktoum is alive. The daughter of Dubai's ruler is reportedly being detained, but the royal family says she's receiving care at home. Princess Latifa tried to flee the city 3 years ago and had previously leaked footage claiming she was being held against her will in a villa. The man behind some of music's biggest rock hits, Jim Steinman, has died at the age of 73. Steinman composed Meatloaf's debut album Bat Out of Hell in 1977. The songwriter also helped create Bonnie Tyler's smash hit Total Eclipse of the Heart and worked with Celine Dion for her version of It's All Coming Back to Me Now. A Melbourne couple has launched Australia's first compostable kitchen cling wrap. Julia and Geordie Kay say their product has the potential to stop 150,000 tonnes of petroleum-based plastics ending up in landfill. Justine Conway met them.
Keeping food fresh since 1949.
It's the crystal clear plastic that lets you see everything you wrap.
Fast forward 72 years and at a solar-powered factory on the Mornington Peninsula, the kitchen staple has been reinvented.
It's literally made from the waste from making potato chips.
Yes, you heard right. This wrap is made from potatoes.
That is potato waste, left over from making things like potato chips. We then work with a company that takes the starch out of that and turns it into a biopolymer that we can then use to create great wrap.
Geordie and Julia Kay are the husband and wife team behind Australia's first compostable cling wrap.
We wanted to put an end to plastic waste.
Science and technology that supports this has been around for decades. It's been quite expensive in the past, but now the cost of technology has come down significantly, so we can actually make this for a very similar price to plastic.
For now, the product is sold online. At $7.50 a roll, it is more expensive than plastic wrap, but 2 weeks into production, supermarkets are taking notice. So is big business.
When you're trying to eradicate plastic, particularly in warehouses, there's not many good options. So we're super excited to see Great Wrap coming and solving this problem.
You can actually throw this wrap into your compost bin at home, and it takes less than 180 days to break down into carbon and water. That's faster than an orange peel.
You're buying a lot more than a roll of stretch wrap, I think, when you buy a roll of Great Wrap.
Justine Conway, 9 News.
It's women to the front at V-Line, with the corporation's first all-female trainee drivers hitting the tracks. The group spent their initial weeks on the regional network, visiting stations and driver depots. Recruited from a range of non-rail backgrounds, they'll undergo intense classroom and on-the-job training before they're fully qualified mid-next year. Still to come, long-awaited relief for arthritic knees. The new treatment undergoing a global trial. Plus, Apple unveils its newest features, including an app to track your keys, and the Front Yard Fairway, bringing the Seabrook community together.
Tomorrow we have the absolute latest on the vaccination rollout for you. Plus, we reveal the suburbs in your city where it's cheaper to buy than rent.
And putting plant-based burgers to the test.
No.
They're healthier, but would you really eat one?
I don't know.
That's tomorrow.
Job Trainer. Discover free or low-fee courses so you can learn skills for jobs in demand. See options in your state or territory. Job Trainer. Skills that work. Visit yourcareer.gov.au. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
The countdown is on to the USA Power Lotto, worth over $100 million. But hurry, it's about to go off. Draw closes 10 a.m. Thursday. Get your ticket today at lotteryoffice.com.au.
Some Mondays aren't so bleak. I compare the market. There's prizes every week. It's Meerkat Mondays. Putting Mondays on the map. Just compares the market. And please download the Simples app.
Right now, incredible Queensland adventures are
good to go. With flexible booking options like 7 nights at Ridges Esplanade Resort Cairns from just $599 per person twin share. Book now at myqueensland.com.au.
At Coles, there's hundreds of prices down and counting, so you can lower the cost of your weekly shop. The price of breakfast is down, with Coles orange juice 2 litres down to $5. Coles, value the Australian way.
The Australian Ballet. Tickets on sale now.
No small SUV packs more features in than the Ford Puma to help you fit more into your life. And right now, your Ford dealer has a finance offer to also fit your life. Get a new Puma from just $125 a week with a deposit of only 10% and no balloon payment. So you can drive away in style with a great rate and no surprises at the end. Hurry into your Ford dealer before June 30.
And then we're going to a day spa.
Very nice. And you haven't even asked for any money lately, kiddo.
All good money bags. The CommBank app does all my budgety stuff now. Keeps me on track.
Sounds like an app-vantage.
Yeah, very advantageous.
App-vantage us.
Oh, I can't deal.
The app that tracks, budgets and predicts. That's an app-vantage.
We all know change has to happen, but real change, it doesn't just happen in the comment section. Hashtags can't plant trees. Tweets won't clean oceans. For real change to happen, we need to roll up our sleeves and get dirty. At Omo, we're changing too, with 100% recyclable bottles, and our new formulation is boosted with naturally derived stain removers. Omo, tough on stains, kinder to the planet.
Mega Zoos, mega stars are putting on a mega show. Thursday on 9.
Taking a look at how the share market performed today, and the All Ordinaries Index managed to crawl back from a bad start, falling 1.6% early in the day before a late rally from healthcare stocks, CommBank, Wesfarmers and Transurban. It closed the day 0.3% down. Our dollar didn't do much better. It's weaker across the board, right now fetching 77 US cents. Apple has targeted forgetful people in its latest product launch, introducing AirTags to help track personal belongings on your smartphone. From keys to backpacks and even luggage, the Bluetooth device pinpoints the lost object and guides you to its destination. New slim iMac computers and a purple iPhone are also part of the launch. They'll be available at the end of the month. Hundreds of patients with worn-out knees are being recruited for one of the biggest trials in the world. The Australian study is investigating whether stem cell therapy is the right remedy for osteoarthritis. This report from Gabriella Rogers.
This is part of Tom Buttle's monthly routine, a tailored exercise program to manage the pain in his right knee.
There's been ongoing pain. So the pain fluctuates daily, weekly.
The problem began when the 61-year-old suffered a rugby injury in his teens.
I was playing 5'8" and I was tackled sideways and my knee just gave way sideways.
Osteoarthritis is an underlying destruction of the joint tissues.
Exercise and losing weight can help relieve symptoms. Stem cells, on the other hand, isn't recommended because there's not enough good evidence.
There's a lot of talk, there's a lot of enthusiasm from the community, but there's no good rigorous evidence to suggest that they are effective in this context.
But this new therapy could change that. The trial, involving 440 patients, is one of the largest that will compare stem cell injections to a control group using saline. It's hoped the active ingredient can reduce inflammation within the joint.
The primary outcomes for this trial are pain, which is the predominant symptom people complain of, and structure.
Most trials to date have used the patient's own stem cells extracted from their fat tissue. This therapy is a consistent off-the-shelf product. It harvests stem cells derived from the blood of a healthy young donor. They're then expanded and manufactured. If there's any benefit, investigators will also measure how long the treatment will last, which is why the trial will run for 2 years.
It's quite an expensive procedure, so I think that the science needs to be behind it. It either works or it doesn't.
Details on the Sculptor study are on the University of Sydney website. Gabriella Rogers, 9 News.
It's no Augusta, but a new golf course has popped up at Seabrook in Melbourne southwest. As Alan Rascal discovered, the front yard green built during COVID lockdown has brought the local community closer together.
18 holes of good suburban fun.
I don't have Tiger's talent. I can't hit a flop shot like Phil.
Welcome to Bald Eagle Resort, which houses Melbourne's newest golf course, the Royal Sty. Why the Royal Sty? Well, it was built in his front yard to overcome the pressures of COVID lockdowns and restrictions by Stephen Hart, the wharfie whose affectionate nickname is Pig.
I needed a project and I just thought, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn my front yard into a little golf course.
And that's exactly what he's done. But what he's also done is to create a greater sense of community, bringing neighbours together. Michael Brodie often pops over from across the road for a few rounds.
It's a talking point. People walking past, they love it, and you get to know a lot more of your neighbours.
Stephen meticulously maintains his course, and of course the club's 19th hole is always open.
Cheers, mate. Cheers.
Now, it's long been thought Mark Twain declared golf is a good walk spoiled, and when it comes to a green hacker like me, that certainly is the case, because if you've played golf with me, you know I'm a hazard on the course, and my rough game is way under par. Alan Rascal, 9 News.
Now returning with sport, Tony Jones.
He's still got a fair way to go, hasn't he? That's all I can say. Anyway, thanks, Pete. Coming up, Eddie Maguire to join us live. Just who will replace Eddie at Collingwood? We'll find out, perhaps. We're live also for details on the Dangerfield injury. Surgery looms there. The D's set to make a call on battling Ben. And soccer's would-be rebels now talking cents instead of dollars.
It's the music event that brings the entire nation together.
He's a working class man.
The biggest names in Aussie music. Join forces this Anzac Day Eve to celebrate the unbreakable Aussie spirit. Music from the home front. Saturday, 7:30 on 9 and 9 Now.
Discover better buys for kids at Target with 20% off toys from these big brands, including Lego, Nerf, LOL Surprise, and more. Offer ends April 21. Conditions and exclusions apply. Find more better buys in-store and online.
At McCafe, every sixth coffee is free when you order on the My Macca's app. Buy any 5 coffees and your next one is on us. Download the My Macca's app and start earning your free coffees today.
Welcome to your life. Help me make the most of freedom and of pleasure. Everybody wants to rule the world. Everybody wants to rule the world.
The Snooze Autumn Sale is now on. Save up to 50% off mattresses, including Sealy, Madison, Slumberland and Tempur, and save up to 40% off bed frames. Hurry, sale ends Sunday.
Sing what a little snooze can do.
Oh, baby, baby, feed me. Baby, feed me. Oh, feed me.
Dine, powerless to resist.
Oh, hi, sweetie.
Hi, Mum.
Mars. Enough chocolate to deal with anything.
Oh, it's very good. Can care be better at home?
Someone from Medibank mentioned that there's a chance I can do rehab at home.
I said, oh, how much extra is that going to cost?
And they said, no, you've got it in your hospital cover. It just was fantastic for me.
Introducing free MasterChef cookware from Coles.
They look impressive. Let's put them to the test.
For every $20 you spend in one transaction, scan your Flybuys card to earn one MasterChef cookware credit.
Non-stick, how good is that?
Super durable.
Perfect for a sauce as well.
Plus, get a bonus cookware credit when you purchase selected products from these participating brands. Collect all 7 MasterChef cookware pieces.
That's the way to cook like a MasterChef.
Free MasterChef cookware from Coles. Value the Australian way.
Just shoot it! Australia wins!
Oh, this'll get you out of your seat. Sportsbet's new popular same-game multi. See what the punters are liking and get on board. Popular same-game multi. New from Sportsbet.
This sports report brought to you by Sportsbet's Elite Average Games. Download the app today and make it look easy with Sportsbet.
Geelong's Patrick Dangerfield is facing 2 months on the sidelines if doctors decide the superstar needs surgery on his injured ankle. Let's go live to Alicia Mewling with the latest. Alicia, the Cats have been exploring a number of options for him.
That's right, Tony. He's gone to at least 3 different specialists. He's even flown to Sydney yesterday for one appointment. But as of tonight, the Cats are still unsure what path to take. Ankle surgery would mean around 8 weeks off, while there's another school of thought which advocates for simply giving the superstar a rest and hoping that that syndesmosis injury heals itself. There's a lot of advice floating around from past players who have struggled with that ankle problem during their career. Here was former Pie Dale Thomas's take.
I would be in the camp that if it is serious, take the time off, get yourself right, and hope that the plan goes as they've sort of come to, will be better by the end of the season, and he can have a real impact come finals time.
So Geelong coach Chris Scott holds his weekly media conference tomorrow. Hopefully he sheds more light then, Tony.
All right, Alicia Mewling with that live update. Thank you. A boost for Melbourne with defender Stephen May poised for an early return from that fractured eye socket. Forward Sam Wiedemann, meanwhile, is also likely to be picked ahead of Ben Brown for the D's huge Anzac Eve clash with Richmond. Ed and Woolley with that story.
They might be unbeaten, but there's little respite on the track at Melbourne. Just ask draftee Jake Bowie. The competition for spots heating up and raising a number of questions.
It's a good problem to have. I know you're sitting there and you want an answer. I just haven't got one for you.
While Simon Goodwin wasn't giving too much away, there was soon a few selection hints. Sam Wiedemann training with the senior team. Ben Brown set for another week in the VFL.
We're certainly not going to bring them both back. I'll give you that as an answer for sure. The team's functioning well, and we need to be really careful that we don't adjust too much at once and maybe we keep that chemistry going.
Despite training away from the main group, Bailey Fritsch remains an outside chance of overcoming a broken hand, while Stephen May is set for a remarkable comeback just a fortnight after fracturing his eye socket.
He's got the clearance from the surgeon around his eye, so he's really confident in that.
While a decision on crowd sizes and a possible increase to 100% looms tomorrow, a number of tickets remain for that Anzac Eve clash. As for Anzac Day itself, in its current capacity, it's almost sold out. The MCG already a hive of activity. Richmond star Basher Hooley and Carlton's Adam Saad among those launching the Ramadan Iftar dinner ahead of the Muslim month of sacrifice and prayer. And for Hooley, that also means fasting between dawn and dusk.
I'll fast all day, which is roughly about 6 p.m. The game will start, I think, 7:20, 7:25. I'll have a few dates, which is a good source of energy.
Ayrton Woolley, 9 News.
Western Bulldogs coach Luke Beveridge is bracing for another fiery old encounter when they play GWS in Canberra on Friday night. The Dogs and Giants have formed one of the fiercest rivalries in recent years, and Beveridge says his undefeated side will not be taking a backward step.
They've really challenged us from a physical point of view historically, and I think we came back reasonably hard and stood our ground at the start of last year.
The Dogs will regain Caleb Daniel from suspension, while ruckman Stephen Martin looks set for a return from his little rest. There's a tight battle brewing for the presidency of the Collingwood Football Club, the position left vacant by one Eddie Maguire. Well, look who joins us. Eddie, good evening to you. There's a big push on for your old mate Jeff Brown. Is he the man?
Well, Tony, look, what I won't be doing is weighing into who I think should be in the chair, but the good news for Collingwood people is that now there is starting to be a bit of movement there to fill that position. There's two standing presidents at the moment, but you've got Mark Corder, who's one of them, who's been on the board for 13 years. Corder Mentha, a very successful business, and you've got Peter Murphy, who ran the review of the Collingwood Football Club in 2017, and now it's been mentioned, I don't think Jeff has confirmed it yet, but if Jeff Brown is up for it, you've got somebody who not only knows the rules of the AFL, he actually wrote them and did all the television rights deals over the years, played at Collingwood in the under-19s. His brother Murray played for the Pies. So some really good people there to make the decision. I hope they all come together. I don't want to see an EGM. I'd like to see everyone come together and do it the way I did it 23 years ago, have no elections and work it out and get the best possible people in there to drive Collingwood forward.
What, like you did 23 years ago, no elections?
That's it. Oh, we didn't. We haven't had an election in 23 years, right? That's it.
But you're a life member. You'll have a vote.
Oh, well, I'll have a vote. I'm not only a live member, I'm a paid-up member. But as I said, you don't need to have an election. If we've got these best possible people, they can work it out amongst themselves. We need to get the best possible person to take Collingwood forward, and we've got a couple of, well, not a couple, we've got now a few really good candidates to fill that position.
Hey, Eddie, just quickly, Footy Classified. I'm really looking forward to this tonight, speaking of successes.
Yeah, 9:50 tonight, nice and early, Tony, so you can tuck up and be ready to go tomorrow. But Andrew Demetriou, who hasn't spoken to anybody, is not only on the show, he's on it for the entire show. He's going to take us through who should take over eventually from Gillan McLaughlin. So his successor was Gill, of course. Who's going to be Gill's successor in the next couple of years? And we're going to have a good look at how he set the tone for football going forward. So it's going to be a big night tonight. Of course, Ross Lyon and Matthew Lloyd giving a big preamble to the Anzac Day games coming up, Richmond, Melbourne, Collingwood, Essendon.
All right, terrific, 9:50. Good on you, Ed. Good to see you.
Good on you, Tone. All the best, mate. You vote too. Are you a member yet?
Oh, let's not go down that path. But anyway, good on you, mate. Thank you. Let's move on. It's Melbourne Storm now, and Ryan Pappenhausen will be forced to watch from the stands as Storm battle New Zealand on Anzac Day. Storm players gathered at the Shrine today ahead of the now traditional fixture, which will be devoid of one of the NRL's biggest draw cards.
Unfortunate for Paps. He's playing some really, really good footy at the moment, and it sucks to see one of your teammates go down, but an opportunity for me this weekend.
More than 20,000 Storm fans are expected at Amy Park for that particular showdown. Well, plans for a soccer Super League are in tatters, with all 6 English clubs bailing out on the breakaway competition. Protests broke out among Chelsea supporters at Stamford Bridge before the Blues followed Manchester City and withdrew. Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal and Tottenham then did the same after similar backlash. Bankrolled by JP Morgan, the $6 billion Super League now appears doomed with just 6 clubs committed to its creation. And on that note, Pete, that's all in sport.
OK, thank you, Tony. Lavinia's back now. Will it be as cold tonight, Lavinia?
Oh, Pete, I can happily report that it won't be as cold. The cloud that moved in this afternoon will act like a blanket and keep any warmth from the day in. I use that term loosely as it'll still fall to 10 degrees. The full forecast after the break.
A brazen act. Who stole this beloved family moggy?
Very disturbing.
Its heartbroken owners say this bloke's a catnapper. And it was all caught on camera. Now the search to find the feline and this man.
It's incredibly confronting to see a cat taken.
A current affair next.
For all Australian parents, the most important, eye-opening 60 minutes you could ever see.
It is tipping Australia upside down.
Our kids' lives, boys and girls.
This is not solely an issue of protecting women, but an issue of educating men.
Are at stake.
It's a right that young people have access to this information.
Unmissable and unforgettable. 60 minutes.
Aaron thinks it's Treat Yourself Tuesday. But it's actually debit day for his water bill. If only he'd used BPay to schedule bills for after he gets paid. Make bills work for you. Switch to BPay. We're in your corner.
I've worked with my father as a business partner since I was 18 years old. He's my best friend and he's known as Mr. Nick. We use the Foodland IJ to create something special in the community. Sure, we sell groceries. We're pretty good at that. But as community leaders, what else can we do? So Youth Think is a foundation that really wants to support young adults through creating a place where young people can come there and be exposed to positive opportunities in their life.
I think they just care about their community and I'm just very grateful for that.
That is good for the heart. That's what is important in life.
To win the choice between a Tesla Model 3 or $105,000 in gold, you need to be an early bird. Plus, you'll still get to be in the grand prize draw. 2 winners will each get to choose between a $1.5 million home or $1.5 million in gold. Get your tickets into the MS Dream Home Lottery today.
Oh, it's a little small. See that cloudy eye and droopy fins? Probably not. But John West does, making this one a definite no. It's what John West rejects that makes John West the best.
Look, there's a Davies near Jet Gladiator. Oh, look, the roof comes off. I'm in. Namaste.
Hungry Jack's Yumbo's back. 2 slices of melted cheese and 5 hot slices of ham on a sesame seed bun. To celebrate Hungry Jack's 50th birthday, the Yumbo's back. Just $3 at Hungry Jack's.
With NIB Rewards, you can get more from your health cover. Unlock discounts across hundreds of everyday items and experiences from major brands across Australia, like Woolworths, Priceline and Amazon. Search NIB Rewards today. It's worth it.
Hello again. It's been a chilly April day, redeemed by lovely breaks of sunshine. The city had its lowest minimum of the year so far, dipping to 7.1, then peaking at 15, which is around 5 degrees below average. We certainly felt this morning's chill around the suburbs. In the northeast, Yarra Glen got down to 2 degrees. Most spots then went on to climb into the mid-teens. Statewide, overnight temperatures were 5 to 10 degrees below average. Hamilton recorded its lowest April minimum in 34 years with a low of 0, and it was a cooler than average day right across the board with maximums generally between 14 and 16 degrees. Tomorrow, a weak system will cross the state, but it won't bring much in the way of rainfall, and we're entering a long stretch of calm weather, and that's due to a slow-moving high, leaving us in a predictable pattern of light showers through the south of the state, dry days through the north. There'll also be patchy morning frost in the northeast tomorrow. Minimums will be slightly higher than today, but once again, most places will dip to single figures. Then climbing into the high teens and low 20s along the Murray, cooler in the south, generally in the mid-teens. Here in Melbourne, the cloud that moved in this afternoon will keep it warmer tonight, so minimums between 7 and 11 degrees. Then most suburbs will warm up to 17 or 18 with a chance of a shower or two, most likely through southeastern areas. Looking at the week ahead, 17 again with a few showers on Friday, slightly warmer on Saturday, 18 with the odd shower, back to 17 on Sunday. There could be a light shower for the dawn service. Consistent start to the working week, 17 Monday, 17 Tuesday and 18 next Wednesday. Tonight will not be as cold as last night, dropping to 10 in the city. We'll have a cloudy day tomorrow with a light sprinkle through the southeast and a top of 17 degrees. Very consistent weather, Pete.
Extremely. Thank you, Lavinia. Melbourne, that's what's news this Wednesday. Tracy's next to the current affair. Enjoy your evening and good night.